What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. This is a different video. It's more a commentary video than news, but one that I feel I need to get out because we just had what I felt was a disastrous end to our parliamentary live stream of question period. I think we need to have more discussions like this, and it's part of the reason I'm putting this video out. No, I'm not leaving I almost said Facebook. I'm not leaving YouTube. I'm not quitting that. If you've read the title of the video, what I am quitting, um, and I'll try to keep things as positive as I can with explanation, is the faith that I have. I am quitting the propping up of politicians. I am quitting the hopes that things are bad enough politicians are going to start seeing the right way of living. And I'm going to go into a little bit of a story here so that people understand why I'm there, because I've tried my best to keep things as positive as I can. And I want you to listen very closely to what I'm saying and see if it sounds familiar, if you've heard other people talking about these things in their lives or in and around where you live. My wife and I, we do our live streams on Fridays. Everybody knows Mrs. Fringe sits in on those Friday night streams. We've talked before about how she doesn't have a job right now. When we moved back in April, she was promised a transfer that was ultimately denied to her 2 weeks before the move was happening. She worked in oil and gas. Things were going downhill. She was told that that job was no longer available to her. So we packed up the bags, we moved out here, and YouTube, for the time being, for the last 5 months, has become our main source of income alongside employment insurance. The main reason for that is because there are no jobs available. We're competing with the mass immigration that the government has flooded into the country. I'm sure everyone here knows what that's like. Our youth can't find jobs. Those who are experienced. The wife has 20 plus years in the oil and gas business as an administrative executive and can't find a job. Can't even get a call for a job interview because she's from Canada. One of the biggest problems I've had is over the last 6 months, with a loss of benefits, there's medications my children use daily that we have to get. We're paying almost $500 a month for medications in this household. We've looked into benefits, corporate benefits, while running YouTube, and the premiums, which cover 80% prescriptions, are the same price as the drugs without the coverage, once you factor in the 20% you still have to pay. So there is no benefit to paying an insurance company for something that is just going to end you up in the same spot. And that's kind of the problem we're at in this country. And I use that story as the focal point for where Canadians are at, because that seems to be the way things are with our government. As we watched question period today, the same 3 points were brought up over the 1 hour period. Doesn't matter who stood up. They were talking about, well, you can't buy a can of soup. You can't buy beef. You can't pay for your bills. People can't find jobs. Unemployment's high. Oh, we're going to fix housing. It was all about housing, food, and unemployment. Cost of living, basically. And that's kind of the problem with our government right now, is that no matter how much we talk, how much they talk, nothing gets done. Just like Mark Carney as he became Prime Minister of Canada. Nothing was greenlit, nothing was done. Segue that into what's happened with Danielle Smith, as we put out a video this morning talking about how for the last 6 months she has given an ultimatum to Mark Carney's government saying that, hey, if something isn't done about the No More Pipelines bill, the oil tanker ban, the emissions caps, you're going to have a national unity crisis on your hands. Danielle has just come out after Mark Carney flew to Edmonton to have a retreat and unveils that there are no projects coming to Alberta, that they're not part of the fast track progress or projects that are coming through to the country. They're going to invest in wind turbines in Nova Scotia. So nothing for Alberta. He tells us that as he visits Alberta, and the Premier comes out to say, you know, that deadline's up in 2 weeks, that 6-month deadline. I've had good talks with Mark Carney, even though he's not giving us any projects, and I'm going to extend that deadline to November. So she's now saying that she's going to extend a national unity crisis until November while the rest of us sit here and suffer, as if she dictates when we've had enough. That is the problem. It doesn't seem that anything is really working in this country. People in provinces have hope that, hey, there's a possible out of independence. We don't want to do it, but it may be the only way forward, away from this hamster wheel that we seem to be on endlessly within the Canadian government. The Premier silently is shutting that down. Stall tactics. In this house, while my wife isn't working, we have a very dear friend who contacted us, who has a child the same age as my daughter, and said, look, I just thought I'd say hello, catch up, see how things are going. It was really just a catch-up call. And as we asked how things were going, she began to let us know that she may have to send her child back to his father, which was not an ideal situation, although I'm not going to publicize their goods and bads, but she's going to have to send him over there. Single mother, no family, by the way. All her family are gone. Because she can't afford to live anymore. She has too much debt. She has too many things over her head. She's going to have to live in her car just to pay off debt, to hopefully save up and eventually be able to get a place, because she's living beyond check to check. With the cost of living, she can't pay for rent and her bills, plus manage the debt. But with the debt gone, she would have just enough to scrape by. We couldn't have that. So even though it's a strain on this household, the first thing we say is, you're coming here. She had plans of moving out this way eventually. We said, you can stay here and you don't have to pay rent. We'll figure it out. Pay your debts down and build a little bit of a nest egg and find your own place. And I'm not saying that to get a virtual pat on the back from anybody. I'm saying that because this isn't the first time I've heard about that happening in this country. While our politicians work 73 days out of the year to get 6-figure salaries, to stand in the House of Commons to talk about how expensive things are for Canadians, how horrible it is for people in their ridings, I can assure you folks, once the elections are over, it's all theater. They don't care. Because none of them, with their lovely salaries, have ever had to go home and decide, what's the price of beef right now? What's the cost of an energy bill? How much is our mortgage? How much are our car payments? Oh, wait, the taxpayers pay for all of that. That's the problem, is we're paying for pigs at a trough while we're all worked beyond our limits, beyond our reach. And even with the revenue made on YouTube and the wife's employment insurance checks, the Canada child benefit that comes in every month, we still stand behind and say, we're broke when we're done paying our bills. How do we afford this? How does anybody afford this? And we're doing mildly okay to what I would consider a good living 5-10 years ago. And it just goes to show you how ridiculously difficult the government has made living by printing money and flooding the country with migrants. There's roughly 10 million people that should be leaving this country immediately because we can't afford to have them here any longer. Supply and demand drive this country in terms of your housing prices, your food costs, what you're paid at a job. If the government were willing to kick 10 million people out of this country that shouldn't be here, you'd be able to provide for your families. You'd be able to get a stable job. You'd be able to pay for your prescription medications. You would be able to look after your kids while the government stands in the House of Commons to say, hey, our school program helps take the stress off of parents. If you hadn't printed billions of dollars and funneled money out to other countries on their forever wars, you wouldn't have to alleviate that pressure on parents. You caused the problem. Don't offer us a solution. Fix it. This country is on its way out the door. And unless people rise up and start to push back, and I don't mean violently, I'm saying there has to be a way to push back and say, we're not doing this anymore. I'm not going to email your office anymore. I'm not going to call your constituency office and ask for you to fix my problems. I'm not going to send you letters telling you how difficult my life is anymore. I either want actions or I want you out of a job. There has to be a way to stop telling people you're going to wait another couple of years till an election and hope it goes the way you'd like it to. Or let's wait for the next non-confidence vote. Or, hey guys, they're just playing 4D chess. Let's just wait and see how this turns out. I don't know about the rest of Canada, but I am sick and tired of backing the same old horse that can't finish the race. You get your hopes up, you think about, hey, this looks like a possibility, and then you find out it was all theater. It's all fun and games. I think for Alberta, if Danielle Smith doesn't recognize that her voters are done, she's going to lose her job. And it's only going to destroy Alberta because the only thing left at that point is the NDP. And we've seen what they did to the province the last time they had their claws in the province. I think for the rest of Canada, we have to start telling in some effective way to our representatives that we're done being nice, we're done with the woke, we're done with the authoritarianism. It's not our job to rely on the government to fix our problems. It's on us. It's on the people of this country to unify and come together and say, we're not doing this anymore. You can't get blood from a stone. And I'd really like to hear in the comments what you guys believe is needed in this country. Generally, no smart aleck, let's get our pitchforks and torches. Give me a general idea of what you think we need in this country to fix things. Because as positive as I try to stay, folks, and I'll do my best to try and make lighthearted situations, but I'm so fed up with being the generic YouTuber that says, look what this guy did in the House. Look what that guy said. Oh my God, look at this bill. I'd rather talk about reality. The reality is, none of them are doing anything to benefit you. The reality is, all the parties that sit in the House of Commons go home at the end of the day, and you are the last thing that they think about. All of those parties. They're concerned about their bottom line, their lavish lifestyles, their write-offs, their perks, their benefits. How do we get away from that? Let me know in the comments below. Because as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, I give up. I'm done. I give up sitting on the fence, hoping for answers. I will not idol worship politicians. I will not prop them up anymore. If they want to come on this channel and talk, I'm happy to ask them questions, but they probably won't come on because I'll be asking them real questions, not scripted softballs. The time for patience, the time for understanding, playing 4D chess, it's all over. It's done. Let me know how we move forward as a country. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.